Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome. I'm so glad to have you. So as you can see, we are back at it again working on this giant Sims build. I am working so hard to finish my Total Drama Island save. Like, I really just want to have all of the houses built, so I'm just sort of grinding on this one and trying to get it done as quickly as possible. So I started out in the kitchen and just sort of went from there. This video is basically just all of the communal spaces on the ground floor. So it's like the kitchen, living room, dining room, the office, and then also the sunroom and the little pantry, even though, I mean, the pantry is just a pantry. It's not anything too exciting. I did put down flooring on the upper level, but that's it. I didn't do much else. This took me kind of a long time, and so I wanted to pace myself so that editing wasn't too much of a challenge, because I am not sick anymore. I can officially breathe through my nose again, which is amazing. But I have been really busy these last couple of weeks. I've just had a lot of things that I needed to do with my friends and doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Also, it's been super hot here. Where I live, we're not used to really high temperatures, and so for us 90 is a high temperature, and none of the houses have any air conditioning, so I am just sort of trying not to make my computer overheat, basically, by either running the game or by editing, because both of those things make my computer super hot, and so I'm not trying to damage it or cook myself, you know what I mean? So we're just kind of chipping away at this build, just little by little. Yeah, and so I ended up going with black and green for my color scheme. I know I said that I was maybe gonna do some browns, because I feel like that's black and brown is a more masculine color scheme, but I just wanted it to look more bright, I guess, and lively. And so I ended up going with mint green. A couple of the other rooms I ended up using blue and white as well. I feel like it just makes the rooms look bigger and more open, and just, I don't know, not so boxed in, if that makes sense, because obviously the floor plan is semi-open, and I just didn't want it to feel claustrophobic, and I feel like dark colors on the walls really do that, and just if I'm gonna have dark cabinets in the kitchen and dark on the fireplace, and all the furniture is gonna have dark woods, then I just wanted to lighten it up somehow with the walls. So yeah, just with sort of mint green, and the thing with mint is that a lot of the colors in The Sims, it's green and blue could kind of fit that color scheme, and so I sort of picked from both of those color tags in the catalog. And yeah, this living room, I just wanted to keep it simple, so we just have a TV and a board game table, nothing crazy. Again, a lot of living areas in this house, and so I kind of wanted to break up the things that I would usually all put in one room, if that makes sense. So in this room, we've got the TV and the board game table, and then in the sunroom is where I ended up putting a dartboard, you know what I mean? And in the office is where I put computers, just because I have all of these rooms. There's no reason for them all to be in one, And, oh yeah, I've been really into using, mirrors as wall decoration recently. I, forget that they exist, and they're not just something to use as, a practical item that your sim can use for, their charisma or whatever. And so, yeah, I've placed a couple mirrors as decoration so far in this build, and you know what? I really like it. And yeah, I went back and added some kitchen clutter just to make the kitchen feel a little bit more lived in. After I did the living room, I realized that I hadn't done that, so I just had to go back and retrace my steps and kind of fill in the empty space. There's a lot of counter space, so I just wanted to take advantage of that. And then the dining room, it's kind of a weird size, and so I didn't do a whole lot in here, just like, you know, a table and some decorations here and there. Curtains I kind of struggled with because the windows are really big, and so I ended up going with these tall ones that like don't quite reach the top of the window, and that's because the one curtain that I have that does go all the way to the top, it's like the curtain rod part was like a light brown, and it just looked weird because the window frame is black, and so it just looked strange, I guess. And so I ended up going with these ones instead. So even though there's a little bit of gap, I feel like they match better. I don't know. And then obviously I had to go with the like breakfasty kind of wall art in here, and then a fork and a spoon as well, because it's the dining room. Hello, maybe that's a little bit corny, but I like it. And yeah, for the office, I ended up putting down carpet, and then I went through and I made sure that I had carpet in all of the bedrooms as well, and then the upstairs rec room too. And for this office space, I just sort of, again, wanted to fill in some of the things that I would usually put in a shared space like this. And so there's like desks and like a little reading nook, but not a whole lot going on. Oh yes, and then I had to make sure that I added a little step here because the entryway, the like foyer, is a platform, and so I just had to add a little level there as well, which I think actually looks really cute with the wood kind of coming in through the door as well on that little step. I don't know, it's cute. And on my original floor plan that I was using as a reference, that little bump out in the corner there was a closet, so I turned that one space into a little like shelf area for books and also knickknacks. I went through and I placed some like little knickknacks. Oh yes, and I picked a color for the entryway as well, which I'm not sure if that's what I'm gonna stick with, but I just figured while I was there I might as well. And I figured too it was a good time for me to place some actual stairs instead of just the like placeholder ones that I had. Just it was easier to look at. It was less distracting that way. Oh, and I've been really on top of making sure each of my rooms has light switches. So I don't think I've missed a single room so far with the light switches. I'm obviously going to double check before I upload the house when it's done, but I think I've nailed it so far. Yeah, and here are our little knickknacks. I just placed some like toys and whatnot to sort of fill in the space. And I feel like that's something that these guys would have, is just like, you know, a little knickknack shelf of like action figures and stuff, especially in a space like this where it's literally just for like reading and going on the computer or whatever. And yeah, so since I was gonna have a reading nook here, I obviously needed to place like a sofa and some chairs, so I went with these ones. Like I said, a lot of black throughout everything. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit too matchy, but I don't know, it simplified the process for me a lot, so I'm not gonna complain. And also I don't think it looks terrible. One of the biggest gripes that I have with this game is how difficult it is to match wood colors, and so sort of just picking like white or black really simplifies things because you don't have to spend so much time picking specific shades of wood to match, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, and I had to add a chess table, obviously. What's a Sims build without a chess table? And I kept the wall art in here really minimal just because I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Like, I didn't want it to cause me to hyper focus, I guess. Curtains in here, I had a similar issue to the other rooms, so I just went with these ones. They're not like the thickest and they're not the most masculine, but they're kind of the only curtains I had that would fit the size of the window. I didn't realize that when I picked these windows that I was setting myself up to fight with curtains so much, but apparently I was. They look good from the outside, so I guess that's kind of all I cared about. Oh yeah, and I went and I kind of fixed the loft area a little bit because it just looked weird to me with the wall in the middle, and I obviously needed a stair railing as well, and I needed railings along the side of the loft, so I did that while I was already doing like the floors and stuff in the upstairs, just to not have to worry about it later. And I went with this tile through the sunroom and the pantry, and it's the same tile I ended up using in all of the bathrooms as well. And I don't know if I'm going to keep it in the bathrooms, but I do think it works for the sunroom at least. So I don't know, we'll keep it there for sure. And then yeah, there's the little pantry back there. Obviously such a tiny space, so I didn't have a whole lot of like room to work with, but I still wanted to make it cute, and so I added that little shelf there and just some like random clutter. Putting lights and light switches in these tiny little entryway rooms here was such a pain. I did it anyway. But I spent way too long doing it. For you guys, it's just going to be like a couple seconds. But for me, it was like literally almost 10 minutes of trying to get these light switches in a good spot. But we got there. Yeah, and then after I placed the clutter, I figured I would put a rug in this little room here, because it's literally just like a tiny hallway, the world's tiniest hallway, so it deserved a rug. And in the sunroom, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to put here, but I figured sort of like a bar party room worked. So I put like a small bar, nothing too huge. I didn't want to take up too much space. And I ended up putting like a dartboard and a stereo in here. And I don't know how many like parties I'm going to have in this household, but I feel like it's good to have a space for one, just in case. Plus it was really fun to decorate. It's not often that I get to decorate a room that's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like nightclubby, if that makes sense. I don't do a lot of builds that have like party rooms, I guess. So that was very fun. And I got to use the new dartboard from the daily login rewards things that they were doing, which was very strange, but hey, I got a new dartboard in my game to use, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I just went with a small stereo in here since I had the big one in the living room and I didn't want to have two of the same stereo. Lots of plants, obviously, because I have lots of windows, so that just made sense, felt like a no-brainer to me. Obviously lots of seating as well. If this was a room that we're going to be like hosting in, makes sense to have lots of places to sit. And that's it. I finished off with the sunroom. Because I just wanted to do the ground floor and then worry about the other rooms later. So sorry, this one is also kind of short. I told you guys that it would be longer than last one. I guess it is, but only by a little bit. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a really good time doing these rooms and I'm looking forward to finishing the house. So hopefully next time I make some more good progress. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Give me a like if you liked it. Feel free to follow me on my Instagram if you so choose. Follow me, subscribe to be here, subscribe to me on my essay channel. And I will see you guys next week probably. Bye!